Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all the higher praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakrak, with us. Double honors to the elders, sing honors to the apostles, preaching and teaching us this word of truth and with sincerity as always. Without any further ado, I just want to get into this lesson here. This lesson going into John D. Rockefeller. Some things I found out about this guy, because I mentioned it in the last video. Okay, so I want to start with these scriptures here. And then I'll play the video of Proverbs 15 and Proverbs 15 in the Easy Translation or Easy English Bible. Proverbs 15:6. Righteous people have many valuable things in their homes, but the riches of wicked people bring trouble to them. And ultimately, with the moral of the story for this is going to be not to trust in riches, not to fall into the love of money, and because the love of money is the root of all evil, and so it will lead some people. Some people love money so much that they'll rob and kill for that money. And this is the story of John D. Rockefeller. He's a good example. That's why I'm gonna use him. Oh, so it's perfect because his family today is called the Rockefeller family. They're still known as the prominent, very rich and wealthy, powerful family. So the money this guy made from his endeavors, wicked, deceitful endeavors, they're still living it up today. But the Lord can curse, and that doesn't mean the Lord can't curse you. The Lord can curse you along with that money. The way this man got the money, if you know the story behind it. That's not what this lesson. I'm not gonna go into this lesson. You have to look into that yourself. I'm more focused on how the Lord cursed his family due to his deceitful gains for the money and the love for that money. Proverbs 15:6 in the Easy English Bible. 15:6. Righteous people have many valuable things in their homes. Righteous people have many valuable things in their homes. I think of the brothers. We have many valuable things in our homes. The clothes we have, the scriptures we have, the shelter and warmth we have in our homes, it's valuable. Those are many valuable things. You got tons of food, enough for you to sustain you. That's about many valuable things right there. But the riches of wicked people, so we might not have riches, but we have many valuable things we value. But it says here, but the riches of wicked people bring trouble to them. The riches of wicked people bring trouble to them. So when you go into the history of John D. Rockefeller, how he got his money, how he got his riches, it was all through deceit, even through murder, through corruption, through cheating, stealing. Because when you go into it, his competition, he killed off his competition. Just to give you a brief summary on it. And so here's this short that I that's playing out this scripture here specifically. The riches of wicked people bring trouble to them. This short right here. Going into it. Yeah, and ultimately, when you look into the pharmaceutical industry, Johnny Rockefeller had more ambitions to. Hence why you have basically these false drugs today that they claim to cure mental illnesses and stuff, and they probably can temporarily, but they come with side effects that are more grander than what they claim to heal. So really, it's all bullshit, deception, and it's bullshit. It doesn't heal anything for you. And I imagine the Rockefellers still own the stocks and the ownership from all the drugs that they buy. Anybody may buy and sell. He gets a good percentage of that from each company. Many other families that the show on Netflix called Oxycontin. Not Oxycontin, it's actually pronounced Oxycontin. It's a good show. You should watch that on Netflix. Probably one of the only good shows other than the Tsar's show and the Ottoman Empire show, in my opinion, or this other show a brother mentioned. I forgot what it's called. 18 something. That's on there. It's on Netflix. But yeah, that's going into how evil and wicked this man just was. Hence why I'm gonna play the video here now.
Until the time of his death in 1930.
The curse of Rockefeller. So this was the curse once again. What did the scripture say? But the riches of wicked people bring trouble to them. So this is just showing you, even the one and only John D. Rockefeller himself, the Lord cursed him right here. Cursed his family. Some of them committed suicide. We're going to read about it here. And I posted this scripture when I posted this back in June 12th last year. Technically, it still is the same year. We just like going off Esau's calendar because we have to. It's just for those because people who don't know. Job 21:17. How often is the count of the wicked put out, and how often cometh their destruction upon?
Until the time of his death in 1938, John D. Rockefeller awoke in a cold sweat for fear that he would lose his vast fortune. He inculcated this fear in other members of his family. John D.'s daughter, Bessie Strong, ended her life a cold sweat for fear that he would lose his vast fortune. He inculcated in 1938. John D. Rockefeller awoke in a cold sweat for fear that he would lose his vast fortune. 1938. John D. Rockefeller awoke in a cold sweat for fear that he would lose his vast fortune. He inculcated this fear in other members of his family. John D.'s daughter, Bessie Strong, ended her life, according to the family biographer William Manchester, with the pitiful fear that she would die penniless. Winifred Rockefeller Emeny, John D.'s grandniece, murdered her 2 children and committed suicide because of a fear of poverty. Another niece, Gladys, at age 21, was hospitalized for her mental condition. After each meal, she would save every crust of bread and every scrap of meat for fear that she could not afford another meal. Mary Clark Rockefeller, Nelson's first wife, said that her husband, despite his income of $1 million a minute, was even more penny-pinching and penurious than his grandfather. Mrs. Rockefeller further testified that Nelson spied on the domestic help to make sure that they did not eat too much food.
Right there you have it.
Until the time of his death in 1938, John D. Rockefeller awoke in a cold sweat vast fortune. He inculcated this fear in other members of his family. John D.'s daughter, Bessie Strong, ended her life, according to the family biographer William Manchester, with the pitiful fear that she would die penniless. Winifred Rockefeller Emeny, John D.'s grandniece, murdered her 2 children and committed suicide.
His daughter committed suicide. His niece, great grandniece, killed her 2 children, then committed suicide.
Rockefeller Emeny, John D.'s grandniece, murdered her 2 children and committed suicide because of a fear of poverty. Another niece, Gladys, at age 21, was hospitalized for her mental condition. After each meal, she would save every crust of bread and every scrap of meat for fear that she could not afford another meal. Mary Clark Rockefeller, Nelson's first wife, said that her husband, despite his income of $1 million a minute, was even more penny-pinching and penurious than his grandfather. Said that her husband, despite his income of $1 million a minute, was even more penny-pinching and penurious than his grandfather. Mrs. Rockefeller further testified another meal. Mary Clark Rockefeller, Nelson's first wife, said that her husband, despite his income of $1 million a minute, was even more penny-pinching and penurious than his grandfather. Mrs. Rockefeller further testified that Nelson spied on the domestic help to make sure that they did not eat too much food, penny-pinching and penurious than his grandfather. Mrs. Rockefeller further testified that Nelson spied on the domestic help to make sure that they did not eat too much food.
Yeah, then one of his nieces had a mental illness where she would save a piece of crust and scraps of her food for fear of losing her next meal. One of his other nieces, let's say again, and then his
Mary Clark Rockefeller, Nelson's first wife.
Mary Clark Rockefeller, and then her or whatever she is, the daughter of John D. or his niece, husband would smart, making $1 million a minute. Was more penny pinching than was more feared of losing money than her father, John D. Rockefeller. So once again, but the riches of the wicked people bring trouble to them. Anyone who cheats people to become rich will cause trouble for his family. But anyone who refuses to accept bribes will live safely. Yeah, and John D. Rockefeller accepted many bribes. If I'm not mistaken, John D. Rockefeller also has a hand in, or maybe that was J.P. Morgan. I know J.P. Morgan was a part of that, or both of them had a hand in destroying Nikola Tesla's dream for giving free energy to everybody. So they're the cause of you paying energy till this day, and you having these chemicals in these foods till this day. That's all going back to John D. Rockefeller. If you don't think John D. Rockefeller has a hand in that, you're stupid and simple. He does have a hand in that. He's the one who started it. He's the one who funded it. Proverbs 10 in the Easy English Bible 24. The trouble that wicked people are afraid of will certainly happen to them. And ultimately, that is going to happen to John D. Rockefeller's dynasty, his lineage. They are going to end up becoming broke with nothing. The Rothschilds, the elites, they are going to become broke with nothing. YAHAWAH says it. YAHAWAH claims it. So what's going to happen? You got a problem with that, and you got a problem with YAHAWAH. You're going to take it up with him. But righteous people will receive the things that they want. So us who don't have as much, for us the elect who don't have the money and power that they have today, we're gonna receive with the things that we want, that they don't want us to have. That's why we don't have it right now. Millions of dollars, not in the stupid way that this society claims you have millions of dollars through paper money. We're gonna have gold, we're gonna have land, we're gonna have goats, cattle, sheep, servants, slaves. All you other nations bowing down to us. Chariots, UFO chariots as our vehicles. Godlike bodies that don't die, that have big rods. Every man wants a big rod, fantasizes about having a big rod and putting it in the woman of his dreams. He fantasizes about that's what the Israelite man is gonna have. If you're an Israelite man and you want big muscles, you want to look like whatever shape and size you want to be in the kingdom, you're gonna be able to do that. You can be 5'9" in one day, and then tomorrow you can decide you want to be 7 feet or 500 pounds the next day, or the next minute be 5 foot 100 pounds. If you it's just what you want to do, you'll be able to do that. You wicked as at least that rule this earth that send curses on us. You're not gonna have that, sons of bitches. So you can send whatever demons to us and witchcraft to us. That shit won't work, buddy. It says right there, once again, the Lord says that the trouble that wicked people are afraid of will certainly happen to them. It's gonna certainly happen to you, Rothschilds, elites, Rockefellers. Once again, what you're afraid of, becoming poor and losing your power, it's gonna happen. But what you don't want to happen is us ruling, is what we want, and it's what it says right here is gonna happen. But anyone who refuses to accept bribes, it says right, but the righteous will receive the things that they want. 25, Proverbs 10 in the Easy English Bible, verse 25, and it reads, "When the storm has finished, wicked people are no longer there." And that storm right now is them ruling, their reign of terror right now. That's the storm that's going to be finished. When the storm has finished, wicked people are no longer there, but righteous people are still standing safely. And we're standing safely right now in their own kingdom as we curse them, and we're still going to be standing safely, even more so when YAHAWAH returns, man. So meditate on that. React to that. Get mad about that. When the storm has finished, the wicked people are no longer there, but righteous people are still standing safely. Yep. Because we were catching hell as John D. Rockefeller was getting all those riches and getting rich, but because we were cursed, but we're still cursed. But you have certain Israelites whose families, they might have daughters. They didn't end up killing themselves, like we just read. You just saw in the video there of John D. Rockefeller's daughters, nieces, great granddaughters, who once again, one of their husbands was so afraid of losing money that he was being cheap, and even looked at the servants to make sure they weren't eating too much food. Like that's a mental illness. That's called psychotic. That's cursed. You're making that much money and you're watching the servants, making sure they don't eat too much because you're afraid that you're gonna lose your money. That was a demon the Lord sent on that motherfucker, man. On that one of his daughters, John D. Rockefeller's daughter's husbands. I had to look her up. Her name was Nancy Rockefeller. It said in the video there. You could play it back and look into them and those people too. Those of his children there, their names there. Recently, not too long ago too, around this time last year, you had one of the elites' sons, I think, who was living in some apartment. Because they got a lot of children too that we don't hear about, that are in the shadows, on low profile too, that may end up being drug addicts or whatever. I heard a story of this family that had this woman live. They were paying for her rent and her house where she lived and everything. They can do that. Like if they're crazy and mentally ill, they'll buy them a house and pay all their shit through the bank, through automatic funds, but they'll live there and they'll have mental illnesses and be crazy. They're cursed. Lord cursed them with that money. So the Lord will curse you if you motherfuckers that end up killing, is not just them, but they're just the bigger example. But motherfuckers that kill for the money they get, they might kill their husband and get to kill their husband to get the money, and they end up cursed. They end up cursed. They end up losing their minds, being bugged out. So this is just goes to the moral of the story is don't trust in riches, man. Don't love money. Don't fall into the love of money because this shit will kill you. Lord will curse you for that. The Lord curses people who get their money through dishonest means to the point where they won't really fully enjoy their money. Yeah, because the Lord is a righteous judge. He's a righteous judge. Proverbs 10:25. When the storm has finished, wicked people are no longer there, but righteous people are still standing safely. Proverbs 14 and the verse 1, the easy English Bible. I even think of King David when he because the love of money doesn't necessarily have to even be money either. It could be your job. So you might kill. So there's people who will kill someone